Hello. Hoping everybody can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. If you are in the chat now, welcome to anybody that might be in chat, as I can't see who the specific people are. Um, it's it's your boy Vic streaming today on F1, which is usually heard of, but here I am. So we'll be streaming today F1 round 7 of season 5 in Singapore. Not my favorite track, however, from hearing what the boys were saying, there's some fast laps here today. So hopefully some really good racing. I'm excited. Obviously, we put the standings up so everybody is aware of positions currently from our last round. Which is looking as if Mercedes are kind of dominating by a good average, about what, 30 odd points? 34 points, I think, or 36 points. The team of Tom Tom and I believe it is 30 this season. We have McLaren in the constructors following behind in 136 points, replicating that of last season actually, in terms of positions in constructors. So it is Jordan in P2 and I don't know if I can pronounce this right. Hiri Czech. I'm gonna put Hiri Czech as your name. Hiri Czech. That's what it's gonna be. And he's in P6 in the standings, on driver standings at the moment. And then in third position is Alpine. The Alpine of Domchi and Gladius. Domchi being P4 and Gladius being P8, which is surprisingly low for Gladius, although not sure if he might have missed a few races or if he's just had a bit of string of bad luck. But massive improvement from Domchi, from what I remember personally. Definitely wasn't a top 5 racer last season, so maybe consistency, maybe maybe faster this season. But that makes it all the more exciting, I suppose. New people, new faces in the top, and obviously we're always going to see the likes of Tom Tom, Adrian, and Jordan in the top 3. But nothing new there. So hopefully this race could give us something a little bit different. Hoping, fingers crossed. You know how we like a good underdog. So if you are here, please let us know who you'd like to win, who you're rooting for, who we waiting for, watching, who's your friend, who isn't. The qualifying should be underway any minute now. Although we've not got everybody in here, so I'm just going to assume we're just going to wait a little bit longer for this qualifying to start. I'm still waiting for 6 more drivers to come in. But for the time being, look at a few more standings. We have Domchi in P4. Obviously, Tom Tom in P1 by a significant amount. No amount of losing today is going to lose his P1 position, at least in the driver standings. You have Jordan in P2, Adrian in P3, Domchi P4, P5 30, P6 is Hiri Czech, and then you have P7 is Marty, P8 Gladius, P9 is Rock, and P10 is Pookie, tied with Mr. Mouse in the Alfa Romeo. Biscuit follows behind in P12, Acasta in P13, Angel P14, I think it's Aljox in P15, P16 is Blue Star, P17 is Parazod, then you have Shankstoff P18, Sherlock P19, and dead last will be Brains in P20. So, yeah, I'm hoping for a bit of a mix-up today. Something new. Standings, there are a few reserve drivers actually in the standings. Doesn't bode well much for those who are not reserve drivers. I'm hoping. Don't think reserve drivers have any influence upon the constructors. So although you can see Rock's reserve driver points there for, I think it's Haas with 26 points, that will not show on the actual Haas constructors, as he is a reserve driver until whenever that might change. So it looks as if the race is about to start soon. It looks as if we're also missing quite a few drivers today. So I'm not sure why that might be. Don't know if someone might have turned up late or if this is just it. But however, a race in Singapore is usually a close one. So despite the lack of numbers, I think it'll still be a good race. And we're just going to switch over to that right now. And hopefully this captures. This will be. Please, for the love of God, show me the way. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. I just had to click it. Just had to click it. Yo! Hello, Still Guns. How you doing, man? You good? You put your feet up today. Yeah. You put your feet up today. Hello, Matty. 13005. Yeah, I'm hoping for an underdog. Big crash in the first front three. Tom, Adrian. We just want a huge crash. Then that way we just have a different winner. I just don't want to see Mercedes up there, you know. Could have done with turning the heating down a little bit. It's a bit warm in here, but we'll make do. When it starts, please let me know if you can hear the game. If you can hear everything, that'd be great. I, for one, need to get a little bit in tune with using the controller, as I've been so spoiled with ACC's. No, we don't want telemetry. Do we want lap data? I think we do. Track, minimap. Yeah, that's a little bit better. No. Detail, tires. Gap, fastest lap, leader. Yeah. And then it will be a case of. Oh, no, don't do that. And then it'll be a case of waiting. That's good to know that we can hear. You can hear the game, right? You hear that little talking in the background of Singapore. Perfect. And I think we're now I want to see who that first one is. Let's get him. And that will be Angel. At the time being, how do we get the spectate menu off? There we go. And it's not Angel, it is Sherlock going first in the Williams. So he will set the pace, so to speak, until there might potentially be a faster lap. And I'm just hoping the quality is good enough. It looks all right here. I don't know if I can get rid of. Can I get rid of that? Do I want to get rid of that? I think we can keep that there for now, can't we? Really, we can keep that there for now. I think that's fair. When you get spoiled with the race control of a certain, the ACC race control, this seems really prehistoric. So it's a little difficult, but it is what it is. I'll be fine. We just have to get through it. Get through the pain. So Sherlock, we're doing his outlap now. And it's not exactly the most exciting part of the qualifying. But we do have maybe a strong 18 minutes. I think it's 18 minutes of qualifying. Oh, don't worry about it. I just wanted to. I don't know. This takes a lot of screen up on the left here, doesn't it? But it's fine. It'll also tell me who it is I'm looking at, so it's no problem. No big deal. We can have it there. It's a little bit ugly, but it's fine. I told you I'm spoiled with the race control stuff, so I don't need anything on screen on the ACC, but F1, obviously, you need everything here. So I'm just hoping next game there might be like a little third-party thing that I might be able to use. And so Singapore is a track of, I would say, you need quite a bit of downforce here. Some of these corners, there's a lot of corners, tight circuit, street circuit, that as well. And it seems Sherlock has given that position up there. I don't know if that was just a bad corner or if he's allowed someone that might potentially just be a little bit faster to go through, so he's not kind of getting in the way. And I just want to figure out who that is now, because I think they're on a hot lap. So who is that? Is it Mr. Mouse? Or is it Mai? I think it's Mai. I guess it'll be Mai. Yeah, it's Mai. Mai will be leading the way then for the first lap. And from what I know of Marty, he is one of the faster ones of the grid. And I think he's on an outlap, isn't he? So I'm not sure why he's aborted it, but I think Marty's on an outlap. So I don't think it's awfully confusing. Yeah, he's aborted his. He's come back in now. Dear Lord, it's not very exciting, is it? Alright, there we go. We're stuck on Sherlock anyway, who did abort the lap, but still put one in anyway. 137.1 was obviously a boy. Mr. Mouse with a 129.2. Angel follows with a 130.2. So that is a 1 second gap between the Alfa Romeo and the Williams. Brains comes in at 130.7. That puts him in P3 for the time being. And I'm going to go off Mr. Mouse's time and say that 128, low 128s are probably the fastest kind of laps here at the moment, or at least that's what they will be. And Daniel seems to have also aborted his lap, and it's nice to see Daniel 99 back after so long of being out. It's always a delight to see an old face racing again. Fusion goes into P2 behind Mr. Mouse with a 130.1. And he'll want to massively improve that. Mr. Mouse has set out what looks like a decent lap, as opposed to the other drivers that have been out so far. So, and I do have a drink with me, so if you hear me take a little swig, I apologise, but as you probably know, commentary is very thirsty work. If you're talking very fast, like one of those auctioneers, it gets a little bit, like spitting feathers at times. So, Mr. Mars here, let's see if we can get a crack on board with somebody else who might be doing one. And Shankstar's back end goes, and I think that lap will be it, unless he carries it on. Which looks like it's what he's doing. I'm trying to see if anything's changed there. To the tight left now, almost a chicane, kind of like a long chicane really, this corner. These two corners anyway. Not much room for overtaking in Singapore. A few DRS zones, but nothing crazy. Especially this one here is not even near long enough. I think, oh no, not this one. I think it's the DRS zone coming up next. I don't really think it's that long enough for it to be a great place to overtake. And that is Hiricek into P1 in the McLaren 129.1. We're still going to stick with Shankstar as he's on his lap, because why not? We have to share a little bit of love between all our drivers. And just a Mercedes in front of Shank. We'll do well to avoid that. Coming into the twisty bits. Last corner, and I think they've changed Singapore if I remember, so I don't think you have to do half the track of what we're used to. And Shankstar puts his car into P7 for the time being. And I think Pookie's on a lap at the moment as well, so we'll get on board with Pookie, one of my personal favourite people. A little bit of a slipstream, a little bit of team strategy there, that's what we love to see. Adrian giving a bit of a... I hope it was slipstream anyway that helped Pookie set a lap here. And that will be Pookie to P3 for 129.6. And let's see if we can get a little bit of lap data. Nothing to suggest. Fastest lap leader? Yeah, we could do that. I feel that's a little bit better, that one. Detail tyre, nay. Yeah, I feel that's a little bit better. Set him back off. So Pookie puts himself into P3. His teammate now taking a bit off him, and we'll switch with Adrian, who will be contending for P1. I think his race will be with the likes of Jordan and Tom Tom. They are the current top three in the driver standings, so Adrian will be looking to put his car into P1, which is usually what everybody else is trying to do. However, Adrian is the kind of driver to actually get it done. Yeah, I can see. I here in 129.1. Mr. Mouse on his out lap. TomTom is into P3. Not the fastest on the grid. What a change. Not what I expected. I expected TomTom to hit top, which, I mean, is always a great surprise. I love to see more cars contending for P1 as opposed to it just being the same three. And this will be Adrian now into the last corner. Flat out, takes it, and that's P1. And just where we said he would probably put his car, he has. And Mr. Mouse left the session for the time being. I don't know if that's why that would have happened. I don't know if he's just out of qualifying in general or maybe a disconnection. Who knows? And let's just see now. TomTom has done his lap. He's not improving of any sorts there. And Daniel seems to have bought his lap. Just gets the braking all wrong. He's in P5 at the moment. This looks like Pookie on the lap to improve from P6. Mercedes in front of him. And Jordan goes P1 with a 128.7. And just, again, like we said earlier, Jordan, Adrian, and I was expecting TomTom to be there, but he's got to make massive improvements now on his next lap to even contend with the likes of Jordan and Adrian, for he is at least 3 tenths behind provisional pole. But as the qualifying goes on, the circuit will get more optimal for these guys to pull out faster laps. Stretch. I kind of miss the rest of this track, to be honest. They were a bit awkward, but they were pretty exciting. Oh, and it seems Pookie was not fast in his time, so he aborts his lap. And this is Sherlock, 3 tenths up on his lap currently at the moment. We'll just have a look around real quick. We'll jump back to Sherlock in a minute. So Adrian's in the pit. Hero checks in the pit. Mr. Mouse on his out lap. TomTom's in the pit waiting. Daniel is no idea. So we'll just jump on for Sherlock at the moment, who is still 3 tenths on his currently. Going around now to the DRS straight. Has to make sure he lines up that car correctly on the exit. The importance of getting that car straight as soon as possible makes all the difference for your time. And we're seeing a big gap now from his last lap. Sherlock is at least a second ahead of his old lap, which will put him in a better position than what he's in now. Going down to the last corner. Can he get it right? Shift down, take it in. And that puts him into P12. It's not a massive improvement, but it's still an improvement all the same. And I've just noticed we have Surrey on a lap, who is definitely a top 5 driver. I would say a top 5 driver. On his day, Surrey is untouchable. However, in terms of consistency, that is a talking point that we can probably have another time, or maybe even later on if the race doesn't go his way. But he comes down the last corner now, and we'll see where Surrey places in the Mercedes. And that's P4 for Surrey currently at the moment, which puts him above his teammate. And he'll want to get in and prepare himself for his final lap. And his teammate's just behind him, ready to start his as well. So we'll wait for TomTom to get around, and we'll move on to TomTom, because that's who will be looking to put his car onto provisional pole if he can do so. Let's see, Mr. Mouse in the Alfa Romeo. It looks like he's on the lap. It certainly doesn't say out lap, so this must be his lap. We'll see if there's any improvement here as he goes past the second sector. Any second now. Let's down the DRS straight. Onto the right-hander. He is 2/10 on his lap. That would be enough, I think, maybe to put him into P3. He just has to keep this pace. Like say now, you're missing a lot of what I'm used to seeing. I'm just waiting him to go underneath the tunnel, and I don't see it every time. And it really throws me off. But last corner, keeps it on the track, onto the straight, and that puts Mr. Mouse into P3 as predicted. And here Check drops down one, 30 drops down another, and TomTom stays where he is. And here he is not improving on his lap in Sector 3 at the moment. He's got a lot to do in the last few corners. Into the one, into the second, comes out into the last corner, and he aborts it. He's not improving. It looks like, yeah, he's a boy, and he's not improving. He's got to come in, switch his tyres, and get that last lap out there real quick. And naturally, we're going to stay on TomTom, and we'll see if he's improving. Does have a AlphaTauri in his way, and I hope that doesn't cause any sort of concern for him. Your dog or your friend? My dog loves this freaking channel. Well, I hope your dog, continues to like this channel, Big Doggy. I really do. TomTom going through to Sector 2. And we're just going to get a little snippet of where he's at in a second in terms of improvement. And is TomTom making a big improvement? He is only 2/10, and I don't really think that puts him anywhere. I think it puts him into P5. It won't be enough to even touch the top 3 at the moment. He's got a lot of work to do again in these last couple of corners. And whether or not you can make that sort of time up in here, I'm not quite sure. Gets so close there to the wall. Stretches his car as far out as he can onto the straight. And that puts him into P3. Improves massively in the last 2 corners. And TomTom into P3. And I don't think he'll have enough time to get to the pit and maybe do one more. I think that might be TomTom well and truly done. But in that same breath, Jordan is also improving. And he is currently on enough time to knock Adrian off a provisional pole. Keeps it on track. Uses all of it. And that is provisional pole for Jordan. And will Adrian have enough time to put it in and do another lap? I don't know. If he has, he's got to be fast. I don't think he's. No, I wouldn't say so. I think that's pole. I think that's pole for Jordan. I think unless somebody else pulls it out of the bag, it's not going to be Pookie on that sector time. So I think Pookie's almost given up on his lap, and that's P6 for him. Daniel is on a lap at the moment. Last couple of corners, we don't know where he's up to. He's not born it, so it must be an improvement. Onto the last corner, keeps it on track. Oh, it's not an improvement at all. We got debated. That's Daniel in P8. Fusion in the pits. Will it even be enough time for him to get round? And actually, I don't think this will be enough time for Fusion to go around and do a lap. I don't think he's got enough time to do it. I think he's left it far too late. Biscuit's on his lap. And I think, yeah, there's no way. There's no way. I think the top 3 are pretty much cemented, and it's the top 3 which we kind of predicted. Here he is out. We'll keep on here because he is in contention of the top 5. With already being in P5. See, and he's a 10th up. That'll currently place him. Oh, it still won't be enough for P4. A lot of work to do. Mr. Mouse is retired. There'll be no more from him. So Check has to put every ounce on this lap now. Any sort of time he can get, he has to put in. No mistakes. Oh, so close to touching the wall. On the limits. On the little hairpin. Press the DRS. Down the straight. Got to use all the track without cutting the limits. to the last couple corners now. Will Hiri be able to change his position from P5? Last corner, keeps it in, uses all the track. And here he goes into P3 with a McLaren knocking TomTom out of the top 3 into P4. So Hiri and TomTom will be in the second row. Jordan, unless Surrey has anything to say about it, which I don't think he does, he comes around the corner. And that is P5 just behind his teammate TomTom. But that will be the third row for Surrey. And well done to HDL Jordan for taking pole position here in Singapore. And judging off that, it's going to be pretty close, right? It should be a close race. So there's your times, guys. Jordan at the top, Adrian Hiri check taking P3 from TomTom. And that's TomTom put into P4, Cert into P5, Mr. Mars P6, Pookie into P7, Daniel into P8, Fusion and Biscuit P9 and 10, Angel into 11th, Brains is P12, followed by Sherlock, Shank, Caster and Marty. And now we just have to wait until the race starts. Oh, that was alright. 1 it was alright. That wasn't too bad. Before we start. Oh! Oh! Surprise rain! A wet race in Singapore. I don't know if anybody was expecting it, but I certainly wasn't. This could change every dynamic of this race now. Obviously, everybody's putting their setup. So Parc Ferme will not allow you to change your setup to optimize for wet racing. I think you're only able to change the wing and I think maybe tire pressures, and that would be about it. So hopefully, I think some of them will be hoping maybe that they've put a setup that's accustomed to a rain in the wet. But I guess we'll find out. But what a surprise! I'm hoping for a massive change in the race now. And this should be formation. And it's not. I think they're going. They're going. Is that green lights? I think it's green lights and it's away we go. There's no formation anymore. Jordan there, turning around the outside. Here he's looking to take that position on Adrian, and he just gets out of sorts. And Adrian just tucking in behind Hiri everywhere, and that allows Surrey to take P3 from Hiri. And I really wasn't ready for that start. Pookie into P5. TomTom has all but disappeared into the back, and I'm not sure what's happening here. I don't know if he was just expecting. Oh! And with the Ferrari just spinning around, or an Alfa Romeo, should I say, of Marty, and his wing has gone, but it's not enough to cause a safety car. He will just have to pit. And that's a shame. We've got a penalty for Pookie. Somebody else is in the wall, and I don't know who that was. And that was Hiri. Oh, Hiri, the McLaren goes into P3. TomTom all the way at the back. He'll have to do a lot of work to get back. But Pookie has already got a penalty for what looks like that might have been a bit of a collision between him and Hiri. I'm not too sure, not 100%. But Jordan has cemented a decent lead for the time being in the 6/10 ahead. There won't be any DRS for Adrian to use due to the weather being so severe at the moment. And so this will play in the advantage of Jordan for the time being if he is faster in the wets. Or at least the intermediates, should I say. And there's your possible race strategy. So it's looking intermediates at the moment, but I'm not quite sure what the weather will be for the future of this. That's a bit, I don't know why somebody has joined mid-race. That's Adrian in P2 still 30, following behind into P3. Pookie with his penalty, a second behind 30. And let's see if we can just change. Yeah, actually, we don't need to. We're just looking at the smallest gap. Mr. Mouse behind Daniel 99. Only 3/10 in the slipstream. Will it be enough to close this? Oh, he's looking a bit dicey. He has to brake extremely hard there so he don't go into the back of Daniel. And this is the type of incidents that wet weather can bring. You brake a little too late, a little too early for the one in front. It can cause quite the crash, quite the collision. And I think Daniel got a bit lucky there to not be slammed into the back of by Mr. Mouse. And we've got a tight little crew here now of Daniel, Mr. Mouse, and Biscuit. But let's just go down, take it to order for those who have survived. Angel and Sherlock with the Williams both close together. Sherlock being the barricade that he is, holding Tom Tom behind him. But Tom Tom has gone from P16 to P11 in such a short time of one lap. I think that might be down, obviously, due to the pit stops that Caster Brains and might have had. Tom Tom looking on the inside there. Sherlock under threat of his points position at the moment. And behind Tom Tom is Hiri. And just as I look at Hiri, Hiri has spun again. And what went from such a good qualifying session for Hiri is now ending in complete failure for him on the intermediates. He looked as if he was not ready to be racing in the wet weather at Singapore. We'll just go around. We've got a bit of a safety car. I'm not quite sure who that might be. Not quite telling me. But Jordan's still remaining 7/10 ahead of Adrian, who has just pulled out the fastest lap of the race. So Pookie, goes really wide, and that allows Surrey to overtake him into P3. What an be Pookie. I don't know if Pookie might have gone wide there to let Surrey pass at some position there or what, or if he just had a bit of a mistake. But it's looking like a different podium than usual, at least in terms of switching a Tom Tom out for 30. Daniel moved his way to P5. Mr. Mouse 0.5 seconds behind him, followed by Biscuit, who is around a second behind Mr. Mouse. Angel behind Biscuit. And we have now seen Tom Tom pass Sherlock and is already creating that gap. The pace disparity between these two drivers is quite significant. That goes to say, though, as Tom Tom is one of the faster drivers on the grid. Down the field, Caster going by himself. Oh, it looked a bit dry. I think we just went under a bridge. That's Brains, followed by Mai, followed by Fusion, who looked like he might have got damaged and had to pit as well. And unfortunately, at the back is Hiri after his two mistakes made in the weather. And that is... No, I think he's out. That's it. It's a DNF from Shankstar. And that's a Haas driver out and a safety car. Coming to save the day of Tom Tom. That gap now that these top drivers have created will now all come to a close. And we'll be racing on level terms again. Whether or not any of these drivers, pit is another thing. However, it being only 4 laps in for the safety car, I can't imagine that would be the case. I think they'll be sticking on these intermediates for the time being. You never know when it might go to wet tyres. Can't hear game sound. Let me... a quick second. Is that any better, F1 Chum? Might you have the... and obviously not if you've heard my voice streaming, then you've probably definitely got the stream unmuted. But yeah, I mean, he's playing, and I can see it, and I've not muted it. And the cars will now be lining up behind the Aston Martin safety car. Oh dear, that'll be my drink. Hopefully it doesn't spill everywhere. Thank you. said previously, that gap will now be closing. There's a lot of catching up to be doing through the cars behind of TomTom, who I think might have just switched to fresh intermediates. If we could, not the lap data, good sir. Telemetry, no. Detail, position change, stops. The tyres. Yeah, so it looks as if TomTom has switched tyres. Marty has switched tyres onto fresher intermediates. It's looking as if maybe it's going to stay this way for quite a while if he has made the choice to switch tyres. That being said, now that the gap is closed and TomTom still remains in P10 after the safety car and after pitting, then, you know, to him this isn't a loss whatsoever. So that's a pretty that's a good strategy from TomTom there, and he'll be hoping that gives him some sort of advantage in the longer run of this race, given there isn't another safety car. I think he might have just instructed his teammate to do the same as well. Unless there's something I don't know of, and they're switching to wets. So he's on hards, which is an extremely brave choice. I don't know if the track is even near dry enough to be switching to a dry tyre. But what do I know? I'm just the commentator. I don't do the driving. I don't know if that would be considered dangerous for the time being, as everybody else is on intermediates. It's a brave gamble, and as you can already see, he's already struggling with the dry tyre, just trying to catch back up to the safety car. So, well, I'm just going to have a quick check of the tyres. Pookie and Castor have also switched to hards. Here he's gone to mediums. So it's a gamble of the rain to stop, whereas TomTom has took the gamble to stay on the intermediates. So I'm at this point no idea as of which might be the most optimal one. Has the rain stopped? It looks as if it has. So the gamble that we were... Oh, Castor's retired from the session. That's a shame. Not sure why that might have been. Oh, and say no! And this is always the problem of switching to a dry tyre. Oh, and Pookie just goes through a little bit of it as well. And this is the risk you bring when you switch to a dry tyre. You have to control the car for, you know, in the wet weather for a few laps. It's not the easiest thing whatsoever. Despite the gamble, look, you can see how difficult it is. Just trying to brake on that wet floor and those hard tyres is giving 30 a massive problem, and this is under the safety car. Never mind actually racing, but oh gosh, Jordan nearly killed the safety car, which would have been irony incarnate. And Daniel is also going to now take the gamble to go on to these dry. I think a lot of people are going on to the drier tyres, and although City has made the correct decision to switch to the drier tyre, he now has to have his wing changed on the premise of making a mistake underneath it, and he'll get backed up. Oh, he doesn't. That was good timing from TomTom there between the teammates. TomTom managed to just get his pit sorted. City switching to the mediums instead. That might give him a little bit more grip when this track gets a little bit drier. And so now the race lead still is Jordan, and he is still on intermediates. So we have half a grid of intermediates, half a grid of dry tyres, of hards and mediums, and this will now be a different type of race that I wasn't expecting this. I thought maybe it was going to carry on raining onto wet, so TomTom went in for intermediates. I thought that maybe that it was going to rain a bit longer on that call. However, now we see him on the hard, so I'd say he has a lot of work to do now on those mediums. To put himself in a bit of a unfavourable position. You have to be so careful when driving in dry tyres on the wet rain. On a wet track in general, actually, sorry. And this is almost like a undercut of sorts for those on the dry tyres now, because not only will they be in the optimal tyre for the track, which will give them faster laps. But Jordan staying on the intermediates and it going potentially dry is a massive problem when you're all cooped up together. We were asking for an exciting race and an underdog win, and we might just see it now that these strategies have massively changed. Naturally, Adrian and Jordan and Mr. Mouse, the three fastest on the grid at the moment, will have to compensate massively for the loss that they're going to feel now from either pitting out or even in a few laps ahead. Jordan's starting the race, our safety car comes in. He's going to slow it down a bit. When does he start? I can't tell. It looks like he gets going now. And Jordan goes. There's no one in contention with him at the moment. Adrian follow hot behind. And this is where we're going to see the difference in tyres. Will the intermediates be able to hang in there for a little longer? Or will the dries be too much? And I think that's another Mercedes. Oh, City again. And this is what we were talking about with the inconsistencies. This is what we were talking about earlier on in the stream, in the qualifying. Fantastic racer on his day, one of the fastest. Unfortunately, the mistakes and the inconsistency lead to just not being able to grab the points when it matters most. However, if TomTom can keep it on track, he will be able to keep Mercedes in a good place in the constructors still. And just as we say that, TomTom fights Angel for that position in hards and mediums. Those mediums should be a little bit faster than the hards, but in terms of actual pace, TomTom should be much faster than Angel. And the gap difference now we're seeing with Jordan is 6 tenths. With Adrian next, Mr. Mouse 8 tenths behind Adrian. Biscuit falling behind a second. Sherlock a second. These gaps are quite big, but you can see the difference in tyres between the intermediates and the dry tyres. Obviously, the intermediates are still optimal for the track. This can be easily seen with Brains is 7 seconds ahead of Pookie. The dry tyres are crumbling. The drivers are having all sorts of mistakes, and his is Hiri's third mistake, and it's just not the race for him at the moment. But it is still definitely optimal for the intermediates. And so this gamble might not have paid off as well as these drivers might have thought. But the more these cars go around this track, the drier it gets, the harder the intermediates become to drive. And that gap that we're seeing at the moment could quickly fade. What a race this is at the moment. This is all strategy at the moment. This is all weather and strategy racing. I'm just going to have a little quick sig. TomTom takes over. Daniel over there. Oh, wrong one. He's already 6 tenths behind. He's already made the gap. And what we will have now, with the track getting a little bit drier, is the DRS, which will allow the likes of Adrian to close that gap on Jordan. And it seems Jordan's had a mistake because it's allowed Adrian to get ahead, and we've missed it, unfortunately. I seem to be missing everything, or nothing's happened in this race. I don't know. But the gap is still growing between Brains and Pookie, which is the difference between the intermediates and the dry tyres. And if it goes into 10 seconds, it means it's still that the tyres, the tyres still are just not dry optimal at the moment. And I just don't know at what point this pays off for the dry tyre. I mean, a pit lane, you're looking at around maybe 20 seconds in the pit. They're making that gamble now. Sherlock and Brains think it's time to come in and switch those tyres. The DRS is enabled, so that was a massive reveal to us whether that might be the case. And maybe Adrian and Jordan, despite putting in the fastest lap, will see that now and be, maybe this is the time to come in. DRS will be enabled as well. So when they come up to the straight, I wonder if Jordan will be able to close that gap a little bit. And Pookie's still massively behind. But naturally, the intermediate drivers will still have to pit now. And like I said, that'll be about 20 seconds. So this whole grid is about to change. Whether or not that's for the entirety of this race, we'll see. But it should certainly be easier to drive on. And I'm trying to figure out where these guys would come out at this point. He's 30 seconds. There is a slight chance, depending on how fast this pit is, that these drivers here might come out in actually a more favourable position with fresher tyres. And I think they might just come out. I wonder if they'll come out just behind TomTom and Daniel in terms... Oh, I don't know. Let's find out. We'll switch to... This is Pookie now. He's making headway. He goes into P1. Daniel 99 takes the fastest lap. So it's definitely dry tyres now. 100%. TomTom finds his way back into P2 after being in last place. And this is the power of the safety car. It can change one's race massively. And it has done for the likes of those who stayed out on intermediates. Sometimes you have to gamble. Maybe in Surtees' argument, maybe not so much, but in the likes of Pookie and TomTom, this is massive. This is huge. I mean, and Pookie has a 3-second gap on TomTom, and a huge gap on the likes of Adrian and Jordan. So, and Adrian went in first, and Jordan has now ended up behind Marty. So now there is a sandwich between Adrian and Jordan, and that will prove difficult for Jordan to then basically have a foothold on Adrian, who is his biggest competitor at the moment in terms of this winning this race. And I think it will all come down to the last pit of this race to see who takes what. Will these drivers stay out on the hards for the rest of the race? Will they switch to softs? Will there be another safety car to change the grid again? And this is the closest battle that we have at the moment. And Adrian leading the charge. Pookie hits fast lap. TomTom hits a fast lap. Daniel hits an even fast lap, 134.7. And here comes Adrian. Will he take the fastest lap from him? Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't take the fast. I would have thought he would have, but he doesn't. Jordan on the outside gets a little bit in touch with Marty. And I don't think that's the first time that they've had a little bit of a tussle. At least in this race it would be. But I'm pretty sure in prior races there was a little bit of argy-bargy. Mr. Mouse speeded in the pit lane. That's a 10-second penalty for Mr. Mouse now, I think. Yeah, and he retires from the session. That's all but his race done. There'll be no coming back from a 10-second penalty. And if you speed in the pit lane, I'm afraid there's nothing that can really be done about that. And the gap's beginning to form here between at least the other drivers, but not so much Adrian and Jordan. These two would be close together the whole race. And it's all going to come down to who's the smarter driver with the DRS, with the energy. And I hope none of these have the stream on at the moment, but we're just going to have a little look at telemetry. So Adrian's sitting on 30% ERS, Jordan on around the same. So they're doing pretty much they're having the same sort of race here. So this will pretty much be it to the almost the end. Oh, Jordan looking on the inside, doesn't quite get it. Adrian makes the space but doesn't let him get past fully. It's down to start finish. DRS open. Jordan looks on the inside, has a little look in. Adrian doesn't give a lot of space. Jordan gets a little bit out of sorts, but manages to hold on. No court given between these two drivers. And we're getting onto a straight again. And will Jordan attack again? DRS open, gets the slipstream, much stronger than the one in front of him. Looks on the outside. Breaks layer, makes the overtake. What an overtake from Jordan that is. That is absolutely insane around the outside. And that is the power of mediums and hards. But let's not take away that overtake in general. What an overtake that was. And Jordan makes another one onto Angel with the slipstream of Angel. And that'll be an obstacle for Adrian to get past to keep up with Jordan. And Jordan has to use this time that he has now, the obstacle of Angel, to make the gap on Adrian as much as he can. Because those mediums will fall off before Adrian's hards. And we say that, and Adrian... Oh, and Adrian hits the wall! He sends it a little bit too much and allows Angel to get back ahead again. Or at least they're in contention of one another. It's a fight side by side. But Angel lets him through. Adrian makes the overtake. And with that little bit of a wall bounce there, he is 2 seconds. There's no DRS. Jordan hits the fastest lap on the mediums. And rightly so. And then the charge is on now. The next stop is Daniel. But 3 seconds is a mighty gap to have to close. And depending on how many laps that takes, could be the difference in this race. And it's the overtake against TomTom. Daniel coming out of nowhere into P2 and taking TomTom out of P2 and in contention for that P1 that Pookie so holds at the moment. And Pookie having a bit of a healthy race. He was 3 seconds ahead at one point. It is 2.6 now, but this is the perfect... Yeah, Pookie leading. Pookie leading. He was 3 seconds. Now it's 2.6, but with Daniel and TomTom behind and them two battling, this is the perfect opportunity for Pookie to hopefully try and make an escape. However, if Daniel and TomTom are smart enough, they'll use each other to slingshot their way to a DRS-less Pookie, and that's, you know, it's either Daniel. You either want to drag the person behind with you, or you want to try and lose them and use your raw pace to catch up to P1. But whether or not he's capable of doing that, I say whether or not he's capable to do. He's already put that gap down by 5 tenths. Daniel 99 is on a charge. Jordan lurking in the background of those fighting. He is on the faster mediums. He's got fresh. They're also fresh, 4 laps fresher, which is a mighty difference in pace. Those mediums won't drop for a good few more laps. And let's drop down the field a little bit. Adrian now a whopping 4.5 seconds behind Jordan, and what looked like 2 cars that were just going to stick together, 2 drivers throughout the whole race, has now changed massively and has allowed Jordan to go 4.6 seconds ahead. And we thought Adrian might have been on the same charge as Jordan, but they're having a completely different race now. And Matt is just following behind Adrian by a good 1.7 seconds, and the gaps now are quite big. Here he is trying to save his race after all those spins and crashes that he's had. Sherlock into P12 Fusion. P30, which will be last on the grid at the moment, kinda. At least those ones that are racing. But the gap between Pookie and Daniel like shortening massively. Daniel with TomTom still behind him and in DRS range. Jordan is also within DRS range of TomTom now. And where we thought that Jordan might have struggled to catch up to the top 3, it seems now he is still massively in contention for P1. Quick drink, because we're just waiting for this fight to happen, which should be any second now. That's Daniel DRS-less, leaving him an injured animal to those of TomTom and Jordan who do have DRS. And Pookie will want to just keep that gap for a few more laps at least. if it allows Tom Tom and Jordan to get a little bit closer and have these three drivers fighting to just hold them off for that little bit longer. And that's another penalty for Hiricek, unfortunately. There's multiple warnings. I don't know if that's track limits or just... But he's not having the race that he thought he was going to have with that qualifying. Jordan in the DRS. Daniel looking in his mirrors constantly. When will the attack happen? When will the attempt come along? And the longer Pookie stays ahead by a second, the more dangerous this becomes for Daniel. Jordan looks on the inside. Tom just gives about enough space, but still keeps his P3 position. And he's got to keep ahead of him and wait for those mediums to drop off, but I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Jordan in the DRS, but Tom has it. Still won't be enough to take him. And now Daniel has reached DRS behind Pookie. And any dream that Tom Tom might have had of overtaking on this DRS to keep Jordan behind him doesn't look to be the case now. Tom Tom have to do some pretty strong defending here. He takes the inside. Jordan looks on the outside. He's done that overtake before and he does it again. That is Jordan's overtaking corner. He loves that overtake. And what an overtake that was again. He does it to Adrian. He does it to Tom Tom. We might see it on Daniel as well. Give it another lap. But we might just see it again. But he has used a lot of his energy doing so. Jordan is flashing. And that is usually a good sign for the drivers around who might have saved their energy. And now Daniel is under attack from Jordan. And he doesn't... I don't think he has the energy to use. But I still think he'll look on the inside anyway. And he nearly puts his wing there. But Daniel just keeps ahead. And Pookie, seeing these three drivers behind him, must be absolutely terrifying. They slowly closing the gap. And what was a solid 3-second lead is now dropped to 8 tenths. On the DRS straight again. Daniel and Jordan sharing the same straight line speed. He's not in any danger there. Has Jordan harvested enough energy to make this pass? Has Tom Tom got enough energy to keep up? And the DRS is open. Pookie's stranded. Jordan's on the DRS. He looks on the outside. Will he do the same overtake as he done? He does it again! He's in the third time in a row! Oh god, he takes the inside and he just squeezes Daniel out. And what an overtake again from Jordan. 3 times he has done that same overtake. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. And he's burnt all his energy doing it again. And he is flashing, but it doesn't matter. And quite frankly, I'm ready to give Jordan my driver of the day after this completely insane charge. I almost counted Jordan out the race once his pit strategy was a bit bad, but this is a phenomenal drive. And he's just going to hold it behind Pookie at the moment. He's not going to do anything stupid. Hold it behind. He doesn't have to go crazy. He does have the fresher tyres. They are the mediums. They do have better grip. The longer he stays behind Pookie, though, who is the slower of the two at the moment, the more difficult it becomes for keeping Daniel and Tom Tom behind. Jordan now opens the DRS. Pookie left stranded in terms of pace down the straight line speed. Oh my god. Another overtake for Jordan. And that puts him into P1. And I'm just saying words at this point because I'm absolutely flabbergasted at the drive that Jordan is having here. We know it's fresher tyres. We know they're mediums and they have more grip. But you cannot take away the overtakes that he has been doing. The pace he's been setting. Absolutely insane. And although Pookie does have DRS, I don't think it'll be enough to fight back for P1. And I don't think it'll even be worth it. And so now it's all about Pookie's defense against Daniel and Tom Tom. And it is great to see that the top 4 is the closest, the battle that we have on the grid at the moment. That's always exciting. You know, usually we have a good little midfield battle going on, but the gaps seem very big. So the top 4 fight is the closest one now. DRS opens. Don't think Jordan's under any threat whatsoever. The DRS straight here is just not long enough to make a massive move on, or make any sort of difference actually, unless you're really close by and you've set it up properly. Now it's a battle of limits. You don't want any penalties in such a tight race like this. Tom has decided to pit a little bit earlier. And I did say that pitting earlier might be the strategy. He has gone for the undercut on those mediums. And I wonder if Jordan will be waiting on those mediums and switch to softs maybe when the time comes. But the undercut is now on with Tom Tom. 30 has reclaimed some points position places. He passes his teammate, but he does have 13 old lap tyres on, so that makes no difference for Tom Tom. This would be a perfect opportunity for him to get a little bit of that DRS, that slipstream, make sure he doesn't lose too much pace. So those running at the front, Jordan making a 1 second gap onto Pookie, not allowing him to stay in contention with that DRS. So that gap will be forming. So whereas now Pookie will be DRS-less, as Daniel will be within the DRS, and in maybe even a couple straights we could potentially see Daniel attacking Pookie. And they do have the same tyre age, so 14 and 13. That's maybe not exactly the same, but what's one lap really? What's one lap of tyres? It's not a massive difference. And yeah, I was about to say, who pits first? Daniel pits first. He sees his competitors pit. He thinks, I'll do it this lap. This would be the perfect time. And I would go to say that Jordan might be staying out until it's safe for him to jump on the softs. That is the only thing I think you could possibly do at this moment. And if a safety car were to happen now, which I hope for some of these drivers it doesn't, Jordan is on, I think, the weakest strategy for the moment. Tom Tom's obviously going to go to the end on those mediums. You know, Daniel to the end. So now it's a case of, like, you know, what can you keep the mediums running and switch to softs? Will Tom Tom be able to close the gap in the potential undercut? Does Jordan have another set of mediums that he can jump onto to pit now? Maybe that might be the best strategy for him to do. That's what it's all going to come down to. It's all about strategy on Singapore. Although I say that whilst Jordan has made 4 crazy overtakes this race, and I think probably the only man to do some real serious overtake, like a proper one. Marty following close behind Adrian, but Adrian is on fresher tyres. I'm just waiting for that pit sign from Jordan. I don't know when that might happen. And I think that's happened now. He's decided now, is it another pair of mediums? It can't possibly be the softs for 10 laps. Is it going to be the softs? It's another fresh mediums. And will the undercut be enough? Will Jordan get out on time? Tom Tom comes down the straight, puts in the fastest lap. Jordan under threat. Tom Tom takes the lead. And this is absolutely insane. Where we counted Tom out of the race, he is now into P1. The likes of Marty and Biscuit, I think, will have to pit. There's absolutely no way they stay out. It would be a tyre suicide, a race suicide of sorts. And Tom Tom now sitting in pole with a healthy gap of a few seconds. Jordan and Daniel attacking each other. Jordan on the 1 lap fresher tyres. And now Jordan will, I don't think Jordan will have the DRS. Daniel has the DRS, does he not? Am I on the wrong straight? I am. I'm counting my straights too early. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe that Tom has somehow found his way back into P1. And this is kind of what I was talking about when I was saying Jordan might potentially be on the weaker strategy. Because he's not undercut, because he's not followed Tom's exact same strategy, despite the fact he was ahead. I think he had to do it a lap earlier just to match Tom as much as possible, so there wasn't such a big gap in between those 2 laps that he stayed out extra. And I think that's where Jordan's gone wrong. He had to match Tom, who was the biggest competitor in terms of strategy. And Tom again pulls out fastest lap. This pace has come out from absolutely nowhere. He was sitting in P4 behind the likes of Jordan and Daniel and that. And now he's found himself into P1. A lot of clean air. No one to bother him. Marty, if he stays out, I can't imagine Marty staying out for 8 more laps on these hards. It would be a feat. I can't see it happening. But maybe staying out to the softs, and that might give him an advantage. Maybe even a fastest lap. But now we have Daniel, Jordan and Pookie all close to one another. Jordan is without the DRS. Surtees has picked up a penalty. He's on 16 lap old tyres as opposed to Adrian's 1 lap old softs. And unfortunately, Adrian, I just don't think is close enough to make any sort of massive difference there. For what is usually a podium runner, has now found himself into P7, and it's looking as if his best position might be P6. Biscuit into P8, Angel following behind 1 second there into P9, Brains into P10 points position, Hiri check with a penalty, Lero Fusion P12 and Sherlock in P13. And that gap with Marty and Tom slowly closing. And at what point does Marty go, oh, maybe I should pit here to get the biggest advantage I can? But he's sticking out still on them tyres. And I don't think he has it in them tyres to just stay in at least maybe even in the podium. And we'll get back on now with these drivers here. Adrian, fastest lap on the softs. That's the point for him. If he can keep that. Being on the softs, I imagine he will. So he switches to fresher softs. Probably looking to take the fastest lap from Adrian to get to basically salvage any sort of points he can from his mistakes today. And Jordan in this battle for P3. He's holding it at the moment, keeping Daniel behind by 7 tenths. But here comes the DRS straight. And will Jordan have enough energy to defend from it? Will Daniel have enough energy to attack with it? And I just don't think he does at the moment. I think he might be waiting. Are they charging? I hope they're not watching. I'm going to have a little... I don't like doing this because I don't know who might be watching to tell him otherwise. But Pookie harbours the most energy of the 3, and I wonder if he's just saving it for just such an occasion. He is on the fresher softs with only 7 laps to go. And the closer that last lap gets for Pookie, the harder this race becomes for him to take P3. So he has to do as much as he can now whilst he's on those fresher softs to get ahead of Daniel. Although Jordan and Daniel are very, very quick racers. And that will be a mountain to climb for him. And Adrian makes it a little bit harder for Surtees to potentially take that fastest lap from him. And although Adrian is P6 at the moment, it's just 30 seconds. It's just way too far to make any sort of massive... I believe P6 will be Adrian's position. He'll have a little extra point if he holds onto the fastest lap, unless he has something to say about it, although was not capable in the lap that he put those on. So we'll keep a tab on that. And at the moment, we still have Jordan, who is forming that gap a little bit bigger. It went from 6 tenths. It is now 8 tenths, although we go... Ooh, bit of a tank slapper there. Holds onto it. Let's get a yellow car. Safety, was it? It's not safety car, is it? Fusion going into the pit. I'm not quite sure what happened there. So despite the DRS, Jordan still holds an 8/10 gap. And so now this gap is increasing between those. Jordan is on fresher tyres than TomTom, but will it be enough in over 6 laps to catch him? I don't think it will. I think you need a significant pace difference between, what was it, P2 and 3. There's no way Marty's still staying out here. He's got 6 laps to go. He's 3 seconds ahead. That was a 10-second lead. Only 3 laps ago. At what point do you give it up? At what point do you say, this is not going to work, I can't hold on to any longer? I would have pitted for potentially softs maybe a few laps ago and just see what kind of points I could have salvaged, at least from that. But Marty has different strategy in mind. And who knows, this might play out well for him. But it's not looking too well at the moment. Tom's still keeping that 2-second lead there. Jordan increasing the gap. He's now a second ahead, or at least he was. That'll put him enough just to stay out of DRS of Daniel. And now Daniel will be left stranded without DRS. This gives Pookie an opportunity to potentially take him on one of the straights. And then all Pookie does then is have to save those tyres and defend well from Daniel. This won't be the corner to do it. Sherlock has retired from the session. That is usually the story of Singapore. Very tricky track, very technical. Brings out the skills of the drivers. Have you got the metal? Have you not? And if you do, you end up in a position like TomTom where you are only 1.4 seconds from the lead. And we say that, but Jordan is closing that gap. Lap by lap, he's gone from 2 seconds to 1.1 now. And if he gets within that DRS range, it could spell awful things for TomTom. Disaster is usually what follows that. And Marty is still going on the left side. I think he wants to go the whole way. And I can't tell if this is smart by Marty or what, I can't. But we'll see where he ends. And Pookie's made the overtake. And I said that DRS will just give him that, and he just squeezes Daniel out there. Doesn't allow him to fight for that position. Daniel has to avoid the barrier. Gives Pookie a little bit of a run-in. You need as much gap as you need now because Daniel's about to get that DRS, but I don't think this straight will be long enough for him to shorten that gap unless he burns all his energy. And I don't think he's going to want to do it there anyway. He's going to have to save it. He's going to have to harbour it. You have to save it, Daniel. You can't use it down here. And although not using it could spell with him being a second out, and that will thus make it way more difficult for him to take that P4 back. And here we go, guys. We now have a fight for the top 3. Marty on 21 old laps at the tyres. Sorry, my words are all muffled. I'm getting tongue-tied beyond belief. He's on 21 laps on those hards. He will be stranded here. The sound has weirdly gone for some bizarre reason. And I'll try and... I don't know what's going on. There's a bit of a glitch with the audio. But TomTom goes around the outside. Oh, Marty just pushes him wide a little bit, but he keeps it on. And now it's a fight, side by side. There's no sound. The sound is completely gone from the game. And Marty holds the lead from TomTom. I'll do my best to commentate over this muteless game. Oh, what a shame for the sound. So if you can't hear sound, it's because the game has decided it didn't want to give me it anymore. So Marty holds the lead there. TomTom's still behind. Marty's defended like a lion to hold that P1, and he will continue to do so. Whether or not that lasts for 4 laps, I highly doubt it. But it allows the drivers behind to catch up a little bit. And what you could see is that... Oh! TomTom goes wide, and it allows Jordan to pass through. So TomTom's lost his position now, and he has to fight back to get back into P1. And I wonder if I can press any sort of button to potentially fix it. Maybe tab out, tab back in. Let's find out. Oh. No, I think that's it. I think that's it for engine sounds. I've got menu sounds. I don't have engine sounds. I don't want to miss this. You know what? I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss this. It's not worth it. We're going soundless, guys. I'm sorry. But Mike still holds the lead. Jordan following behind him. DRS will be opening for Jordan. Mike will have to do so much work to defend this off. He closes that gap. Jordan flips on the inside. He pushes him a little bit on the inside as well. But Jordan, late break. Those tyres have got to be better than Marty's. He gives him a little bit of tough love around that corner. And you would call that karma for the likes of Tom Tom, who suffered that same fate. He pushes him a little bit. That allows the top three of Jordan, Tom Tom, and Pookie to take Marty. We all knew this was coming on those 22-year-old laps. Year-old? 22. Yeah, they're not year-olds. But they are 22-lap-old tyres. And they are exhausted. And I think Marty has done the best he possibly could with them. You can tell that he's getting all out of shapes now. Those tyres are on the brink of going. And Daniel will now as well have to use his fresher tyres to get past Marty, but he won't make that easy. He hasn't made it easy for any of these drivers. And Jordan taking... Made it sound to yourself, yeah. Oh, wait. That was... Do you like the Ferrari? See how I made the different note? It's fine. You probably won't understand. Jordan, though, 1.7 seconds ahead. Pookie on the soft tyres. Will they be faster than TomTom to get past him? And TomTom is out of DRS range. And you know where we don't get audio glitches in ACC. Tune in for next Fridays if it is on. A little shout out there to the ACC gang. You know what I mean? No glitches there. We don't have any of this. Pookie looks on the inside. Still not enough DRS straight for him to make that difference. Jordan is escaping now, 2 seconds ahead. And it was all TomTom's to lose, and he does so, which is an absolute shame. And I think that will mostly be down to the fighting of Marty that he gave to these drivers. And I think we might have seen a little bit of... Oh God, Daniel nearly smashing his car into the barrier there. And I think maybe Marty and Daniel might have had a little bit of a little tussle. It's dropped Daniel massively behind Marty, and whether or not that might be something that would be checked in the FIA, I'm not quite sure. I'm just assuming that might be the case. And although John has a massive lead now, I guess the main race that we're looking for now is who can take P2. Will it be Pookie? Will it be TomTom? Because we know Marty's not in contention of it. We know Daniel's definitely not anymore. So it is a fight for P2 because P1 is escaping by 10th after 10th after 10th per lap. And down the start straight, only 2 laps to go of this soundless F1 game. And again, I can only apologise. This is the F1 game experience, unfortunately. Nothing quite works correctly. And you just never know what sort of bug you're going to get. You know what I mean? You just never know what you're going to get. So, fortunately for this one, it is the sound. I think F1 Chum kind of jinxed us a little bit there, talking about game sound. And now look at us, we don't have any. Now look at us. This is all F1 Chum's fault. I'm blaming him. That gap. Now 3 seconds. And it is officially a cruise for Jordan to get to the end now. It's an easy drive. He doesn't have to push. Doesn't have to do anything. It's only 2 laps. Are he really going to call... You know what I mean? This is a cruise now for Jordan. And what a cracking race that is for him as well. Time and time again, proving that he's the fastest on track. And Pookie is beginning to slip out of that gap with TomTom. As you can see, those soft tyres are now starting to burn up. They're starting to tread away. And TomTom's tyres, being the mediums they are, will be able to go a little bit longer at a better pace. And although the correct decision from Pookie just didn't quite get to take advantage of the tyre advantage that he had over the likes of TomTom and Daniel at the time. And or maybe even Jordan as well, I think, who he had to kind of stay behind for that time. And I think for the time being, we're just going to stick with what looks like our race winner. Because I don't think this gap is going to close anymore, and the gaps between all the other drivers are significantly big. Like, I mean, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 9 seconds. You know, they're all racing by themselves here. There's not much going on, unfortunately. So there we go. It's Tom still managing to hold off Pookie. He's got no energy left to burn. Tom does. So even with a mounted attack, a setup of any sort, it's probably just not going to work out for Pookie. But a podium position for Pookie will be probably more than he thought he was going to get at the start of the race with the pace of these top drivers are usually Jordan, Tom, and Adrian. So you know you can only appreciate what you get. You know what you have. And Jordan coming up to the last 2 corners, or 3 should I say. There's 1, there's 2, and our race winner, HGL Jordan in the McLaren, goes around the last corner, keeps it on track, goes across the straight there, right across the finish line, and that is our winner. Easily drive the day, followed by Tom, followed by Pookie. That's our 3 on the podium, and Jordan easily drive the day. Best overtakes, best drive. He constantly kept coming back from the brink, even with the poorest strategies. Jordan never gave up, and he always came back to fight for that position. And it's so rightfully deserved. Just different from him today. Tom into P2, Peaky P3, Marty with his extremely alternative strategy into P4. There was a 26 lap hold hard. That's a feat within itself to keep that on track and for them not to blow up. Daniel into P5, Adrian P6, and he's probably a race you want to forget. Probably went into this hoping for P1. It's unfortunate for him. He's ended up in P6, Biscuit in P7, 30. Another one, a race to forget. Does manage to get some points, but probably not the ones that he really wanted. Angel in P9 and Hiri Check with a bit of a disaster at the start of the race in the wet. About 3 or 4 crashes. Still manages to salvage a point despite the start. And again, I will apologise for the sound going in those last 4 laps. I did my best to commentate enough for those, but it's all very last minute stuff and managed to just take over here. But I do hope that was a race you all enjoyed. There is our race champion. If you have anyone else in mind of driver of the day, please let me know. But it has to be HGL Jordan by far. Just different racer today as opposed to everybody else. And although I'm mocked in for practicing earlier, it seems to have paid off for him. So congratulations to Jordan on that win. And congratulations to Tom and Pookie for their P2 and P3 positions. Adrian does take fastest lap with a 131.1, bringing on the 2 there. But he'll get an extra point for that, unless taken from him for some other alternative reason, which I surely do not know of right now. So yeah, that's me. That's me done. Hope you all enjoyed the race. That was went much quicker than the ACC ones usually go, but hope you all enjoyed it. It was good having you all in here. Thanks for those who commented. For any person that might have followed, I wasn't quite sure if they might have. I appreciate you guys. It is a 2-week break now, so I don't think there'll be any F1 for quite a while. I'll have to check on the ACC one for that as well, because I'm not sure if there's one for that. But if not, I'll see you all on Friday if there is an ACC one. If there isn't, I'll see you lot after Christmas. Have a great Christmas. I think. Have a great New Year's. Will we be back before then? Not quite sure. Can't quite remember. But it is a 2-week break, so either I see you there or we Steel Guns comes back and he sees you guys there. But if not, take care, have a great Christmas, and this is Vic signing off. Peace, peace.